Zombies in Spaceland is a near-perfect map. It was the on-disc map for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, a game that received a ton of backlash way before the game was even released. Even the Spaceland trailer itself was getting a ton of hate for being overly goofy and borderline childish compared to what the franchise has been before. But personally, I was really excited. I mean, come on, the whole theme park vibe, the 80s retro theme that it was going for, it was everything I wanted in a zombies map. I was getting sick and tired of the serious, epic, sort of maps that we had in Black Ops 3 and even in Black Ops 2. I wanted just something that you could just not take seriously, and considering it wasn't a Treyarch game, I was completely okay with that, and I actually wanted that. This map doesn't necessarily appeal to everyone. It mainly appeals to those more casual players who just want to hop in, kill some zombies, and have a great time, not really worry about the story necessarily. And honestly, that fits my playstyle in certain aspects. Not all the time do I want that experience. Sometimes I want a really story-driven map like Mob of the Dead, but sometimes I want a map where I can just hop on, kill zombies with some friends, not worry about anything, maybe do the Easter eggs, because there's some great Easter eggs to this map, and there is some story, but it's just not important to what's going on. And, it's mainly just a map you hop in to have fun, use all the fun features that this map has, and this map does wonders in those fun features. And in core gameplay design, it is nearly perfect. It's designed so well for keeping in mind all types of playstyles, except for those story players, which, like I said, if you're that guy who only plays for story, this map is just not going to be for you. When reviewing a map, the most important thing to talk about first is what makes a zombies map good. I go by these 4 things here that are the fundamental factors into what makes a zombie map good or bad. That is gameplay, story, atmosphere, and innovation. Everything goes into these 4 factors, and these 4 factors are what make or break zombies experiences. So starting off with the gameplay, I think we can all agree that Zombies in Spaceland is one of the best in the gameplay department. I mean, compared to any other zombies map out there, it does exactly what it should do, and that is it keeps you invested in the game the entire time. There's not one point in this map where I'm sitting there like, I don't know what to do. It's not like the older maps where you kind of get to a point where you're like, I have a good gun, I have my perks, there's nothing for me to do now except for train around and kill zombies. But it also doesn't get to the point where you're just overwhelmed with a bunch of crap that you don't really want to do because it's all tedious. Instead, it kind of gives a happy medium where it's like a lot of things that aren't that hard to do, but they're fun to do, and they're easy to do. They're easy to understand. You don't need a 30-minute YouTube guide to help you out with this map. It really does not require that. It's simple things, and that's what makes this map so replayable. The map design makes sense, so it's pretty easy to follow. You obviously spawn in the sort of front area of the park itself, the entrance, and then it cuts off into 3 different sections of the map. These areas include Journey into Space, which is very much rocket themed, Polar Peaks, which is snowy kind of mountain themed, and then the Kepler system, which is like alien themed. They all have their own distinct colors and atmospheres to them, which really sets them apart from other sections of the map. And connected to Journey into Space has the arcade, which is called the Astrocade, and it almost has its own specific part of the map. Then of course there's also the center of the map, which has like the little stores which you go shopping to if you were at an amusement park, and the below area, which is kind of like where the park workers would have their offices and such. And it's a very distinct vibe when you're down there. It doesn't feel like you're at a fun, exciting arcade. Now it feels like you're at some depressing place where you work all day for 7 hours a day or whatever in like an office type area. It doesn't feel exciting and fun, and that's because of the music. The music's not playing down there, which really sets the vibe of that section of the map different than the rest of the map, which is exactly what it should do. The map layout is just really easy, especially for casual players, because the callouts are easy. It's not a map like Der Eisendrock where you mainly call out locations of the map by the perk locations. So you're like, oh, I went down by double tap, or oh, I need you to go to Juggernog, or whatever. We call them by wherever the perks are around the map, as opposed to in this map, it's very easy to tell where you are on the map. It's very easy to tell different callouts and different, ways to explain where you are on the map at a given time. The wonder weapons, to me, are one of the best things about this map. Not only how you earn them, and also how they are themselves. There's a total of 5 wonder weapons on this map. You have the Forge Freeze, which is completely trash, but it's pretty simple to get, and it's honestly kind of fun to use. It's simply 500 tickets out of the arcade, which we'll talk about a little bit later. It's not worth it, but it's still kind of fun to use. And then you have the 4 space pistols, including the head cutter, which literally has the zombies' heads explode when you shoot them. It kind of attracts to multiple zombies as well, which is even cooler. The shredder, which literally shreds the zombies down to nothing. The face melter, which sends the zombies up into the sky and blows them up into a firework. And the discord, which literally makes the zombies break it down on the floor, which is hilarious. Now these pistols are really good up until like round 40 or so, and then they start becoming really trash to the point where they're completely useless past round 40. Now, most players are not going to be going past the 40s and 50s, therefore these pistols are really good, especially if you're just playing in those early rounds or trying to do the Easter egg and you actually need it for a specific step in the Easter egg later on. Therefore, they're worth getting. Now, the process of getting them themselves is pretty simple. You just need to collect 3 parts around the map, one of which you get from the little souvenir token machines where you have to put different colors in to get different combinations, and if you put the right combination, you can get one of the parts for each of them at the 4 different locations around the map. Then you have to get the other one via traps around the same general area, where you have to get trap kills in that area where the UFO is flying around it. UFO goes away, and then you have to start collecting souls in UFO, and then pick up the little orb that it drops with an arcane core on your weapon. Then shoot inside the alligator's mouth after putting the golden teeth in there, also after getting a brute to crash the teeth. Then you get that piece, and then there's also another piece you need to get, which is different for all of the different pistols, and it's usually just a simple little quest. Like, for example, for the discord, you need those little glasses you pick up from the zombies that can drop the glasses that turn into black and white, and you have to shoot 5 targets around the map. So simple stuff like that, not too complex. You can do it pretty easily. One of my personal favorite things about Spaceland would have to be the ticket system. This is one of the coolest and most creative systems ever added to zombies, and I really would love to see it again. A currency system that's separate from the normal points you get from killing zombies, that gives you specific rewards only obtainable from this other currency. I love this system because it gets you to do different things around the map. It gets you to play the arcade games, which are kind of fun to do. I do wish you can do them without zombies hitting you. I think they'd be much more enjoyable because they're only really something you can do either when you hold the zombie or in between rounds or in the really early rounds when the zombies are still really slow, so it's hard for them to get to you, because later rounds you're not going to be able to do many arcade games mid-round without having a bunch of zombies grabbing you. But it is still an insanely fun thing to do because you get to earn these tickets for it. And that's not the only way to earn tickets. You can also earn tickets from the Neil robot, which gives you a bunch of different challenges, such as killing 8 zombies from a distance or meleeing 10 zombies, and they give you a pretty good time to complete it, and you just keep doing them, and eventually you'll get rewarded with David Hasselhoff, which is a actual AI character that comes in and helps you kill zombies, and it can even revive teammates, which is awesome. Now, these tickets only reward you a few different things. I do wish they gave you a little bit more. Like I've said many times, one of the worst things about this map is that there's a lot of missed opportunities, but it's still so good. Those missed opportunities aren't that big of a deal. You can get a couple different prizes at the arcade prize center, which includes the Forge Freeze, the ice grenades, a max ammo drop, which you can only get once in that entire game. And you could also get these little things around the map, including the arcane core, which you need for to get the pistols, obviously. You also can get the Armageddon, which is an equipment that literally sends meteors to rain down on the map. You can also get a repulsor, which kind of pushes the zombies back with your hands. And you can even get like a teleporter that lets you literally toss it, jump in, and it's this like little black hole, and you just go into another section of the map. Another way to earn different tickets are through the roller coaster, which is another insanely fun part of the map. I mean, even if you're just bored of killing zombies over and over again, just hop in the roller coaster. It is so much fun to ride through it. It would be even better if there was more rides like this on the map, but this is still a really cool ride to do, and it's an interactive ride. It's not just a ride you sit on and let it go. You actually get to shoot targets with this toy gun it gives you, and obviously clowns jump on it as well, which makes it a little more exciting, and you can get upwards of like 150 tickets for doing it depending on how good you do on the ride. So now that we got one of the main core features of the map kind of out of the way, let's talk about some of the other features this map has to offer in terms of the gameplay. Starting off with the Souvenir tokens. The Souvenir token system is really cool and really keeps you playing even in those higher rounds because you're constantly earning more tokens, which rewards you these really cool little traps that you get, which they're handheld traps that you can bring around the map and do all sorts of stuff with. And these traps kind of continue on in future Infinite Warfare maps, but you earn them in different ways. Now, the way you get these tokens is there's 3 different colors you can get, and they just drop randomly from zombies. And you get these tokens and you pop them in these souvenir machines, and they're really cool because they even talk back to you. They're like, oh, one more souvenir token, you get a prize. It feels like you're in a theme park. It really does, which is exactly what I've been talking about with the atmosphere of this map that really pushes that feel. And if you get a certain combination, it'll give you a certain little trap, and you can get stuff like the boombox, the laser window trap, the electric trap, Kindle pops, all sorts of these little handheld traps that you can only hold one at a time with, and it goes in your D-pad selection. You use it, it kills some zombies, and then you go get some more. You can just keep getting more and more and more. Some of them are actually really useful, especially like the boombox, which is literally a monkey bomb, but it's even cooler because it makes the zombies dance. So this is a system that I really enjoy messing around with because you're just constantly getting more tokens and you're constantly getting more prizes that you can have some fun with because there's a bunch of them to mess around with. And we can't not talk about the traps. The traps in this map are some of the most creative and cool traps in Zombies history. My favorite being the Cosmic Dance Party trap in the arcade. Oh my god, is this thing amazing. You literally call it in and the zombies go to this dance floor. They all go there, so it's really useful if someone goes down in this general area. Just use that trap. All the zombies will go to it and they'll start dancing on this dance floor, and then lasers will come out of the disco and kill every single zombie on the dance floor. It's incredible. There's also the Chromosphere trap, the rocket trap. There's actually 2 different rocket traps. There's just a lot of fun traps to use within this map. A lot of ones that just make you want to use them again and again to kill zombies, and they're pretty effective at it. It's a really good high round strategy, going around using these traps. Fortunately, some of them take a while to recharge, especially on those higher rounds. Therefore, they're not the most effective traps we've ever seen in Zombies history, but they're still really fun to use, and some of them you need to use to get the space pistols, which kind of gives certain features of the maps a bigger purpose, which is something I love when Zombies maps do. I hate when they have features that aren't really necessary for many different parts, like the main Easter egg or for getting anything, but when they actually involve the traps and the ticket system and all these other things into the main quest, it makes the systems so much more enjoyable. And they did the same with the Souvenir token system. You need that for the space pistols. Using everything on the map to their advantage and making it enjoyable. Now we gotta talk about the Easter egg. One of the most fun and enjoyable but also simple Easter eggs I think of all time. And a lot of people disagree with me on this because it's not some in-depth, story-driven Easter egg that we're used to seeing in Treyarch maps. Instead, it's just a fun, short, but still kind of difficult in some ways Easter egg quest. And it's very easy to understand. It's not like some complex quest where you're gonna need a million different guides to follow. No, it's simply grab 3 parts around the map to build a Setacom, and then place the Setacom in 3 different locations around the map, and then protect it in those 3 different locations for a certain time frame by killing all the zombies that come to it, which is a really fun step, by the way. It's hard enough because you need decent guns for it, and you need decent perks, so you have to take some time in order to do it. And then when you get those decent weapons and perks, now you're gonna do it, and it's actually kind of tricky. It gets harder as the rounds go on, but it's still simple enough for anybody to understand. It's fun. It's not going around the map picking things up. No, it's actually killing zombies, and that's what a mode titled Zombies should primarily be about for sure. And then after you complete all these Seticoms, you just simply go to Hoff, you get these little pieces, these like, I guess, tune players, and you put them around the middle of the map, and now you have a Simon Says step as you go into the boss fight. And the Simon Says step is probably the most difficult part of the Easter egg, but it's not hard if you're just decent at the game, then you can handle zombies while also looking up, trying to match the code correctly, and if you get the code wrong, it punishes you by spawning in a brute boss zombie, which is that big dude that shoots lasers out of his face and also takes it off and then runs at you. He can be pretty tough sometimes. This step though is really, really fun. Honestly, you gotta do it 3 times, and after that, boom, you're in the full boss fight itself, and you have to fight against the alien. Now, there's only one alien if you're on solo, but if you have 2 players, they spawn in 2 aliens, and if you're up to 4 aliens. Obviously, just the amount of players in your game is the amount of aliens that are there, which makes perfect sense for just making the boss fight balanced. And it's not a very easy boss fight unless you use the proper Fate and Fortune cards. If you use certain ones, you can do it within like 50 seconds. But if you don't have much, and if you're not in Director's Cut and you're just using, you know, the regular perks in the game with the non-double pack-a-punch guns, it can be tricky, especially with how powerful these aliens are and how they shoot these like lasers at you that deal a lot of damage while there's zombies and clowns running at you. It's a really fun boss fight though. It doesn't take place in any specific new location, it's just in the center of the map as well as the spawn area, which I would prefer if it was a different area. I do think boss fights are a lot more fun when it brings you to an area you've never been to before, but it's still fine in the way it is. And after you defeat all the aliens, you get to take out the UFO, which is pretty easy. You just have to shoot with your upgraded pistol the little dots on the big sign, and then it shoots a laser up into the sky, and then it blows up the UFO, completing the Easter egg, which is a very simple quest to do, not too difficult. But wait, there's more. One of the coolest things about Infinite Warfare is how every single map has its main Easter egg quest, as well as a Ghosts and Skulls quest, which is a whole nother quest on top of the main Easter egg that is basically an Easter egg in its own way, and it has its own separate boss fight, and it is really cool. So basically the whole idea of it is you have to collect 6 skulls around the map doing various things, and then it allows you to use the Ghosts and Skulls machine in the arcade, play it, and it brings you into this virtual boss fight. Now, to get these skulls, they're not that hard to get. They're really not. The other maps make it way more difficult, but on Spaceland, it's pretty general, specific things. Like, one of them just is simply destroying all the balloons in the spawn, and you get the first skull from that. Like, that's such an easy thing to do. And the other ones aren't too difficult either. You can just do it while you're trying to do the Easter egg steps, and you can do it pretty damn fast. Only one of the skulls you need to complete the Easter egg for, therefore, yes, you do have to beat the Easter egg to do this specific quest, but Easter egg's not that hard, so it's really not even that big of a deal. The Ghosts and Skulls boss fight literally puts you into an arcade machine, and you are basically playing Galactica. You are shooting these little virtual skulls with zombies with this like weird cool Forge Freeze looking gun. It's like based off the Forge Freeze, but it's not really. And you have to shoot the skulls, but all of them before they come and kill you pretty much. And you don't die like you would in the boss fight. You just exit the little arena that you're in, and you just have to restart it again another round, which is not that big of a deal, honestly. I think it's a really balanced thing, and the reward for it is pretty good because you get Perkaholic, but of course if you already have Director's Cut, that's not really useful to you. But let's say you didn't have Director's Cut, then it would be worth doing because you get Perkaholic, and then you'd be, you know, able to just mess around with Perkaholic in that specific game. But obviously Director's Cut completely negates the even need to do it. But if you just want to be completionist and complete everything in the game, then there you go. You have a nice quest to do, which is not that difficult at all. Now let's talk about the story a little bit. I think the story is not that important to this map at all. They weren't trying to go for a really compelling and deep story, but there still is one there. So basically the story of Zombies in Spaceland is that 4 aspiring actors come to this mysterious movie theater for an audition, obviously by director Willard Wyler, and he basically sucks them into the movie, and they play as these characters like they're in it actually, and they're forced to fight off all these zombies and such. And it's a very, like, just weird, silly story, but that's what it's going for. It's like, if you're comparing, like, the Treyarch Zombies maps to, like, bigger budget movies, they feel more like serious franchises. This feels more like a Zombieland movie, just something that's just silly fun, that has interesting characters who are kind of funny and unique in their own ways, but at the end of the day, they're not trying to tell a deep story with some deep lesson. You're not going to have a ton of conversations about the story in Infinite Warfare at all, not like you could for Treyarch, not even close. And the benefits of not having a deep and intricate story is that they're allowed to do a lot more than you could with Treyarch or even World War II Zombies, because there's limitations put on them when they make a deep story. They don't want to deal with inconsistencies, so they try their best to kind of change around the gameplay in order to make for the story. But Infinite Warfare, they don't give a crap. There is no consistency there because every map has a completely different sort of movie that it's telling a story of. It's not the same story, you know, throughout. It's still the same characters, but they're just acting as these other characters in these other maps. So yeah, you're not going to have that same connection to the characters as you would in Treyarch, but they're not going for that, and I think that's important to note. If they were trying their hardest to make this a compelling story and it turned out like this, yeah, it would be absolutely crap, but they're not trying to. They make it clear from the get-go that this is going to be a goofy and fun story, kind of like the movie Zombieland. But what is single-handedly the most important thing to this map, the thing that makes it what it is? If it didn't have this one thing, the map would not be nearly as good. And that has to do with its atmosphere, specifically the music. The music is what makes Spaceland what it is. Honestly, without the music, it would not be the same. The music is constantly playing on the map, only in the specific areas that make sense for a theme park, which really just makes it way more immersive. If it was just playing throughout the entire map the same volume, it wouldn't feel immersive. Depending on where you are in the map, the music gets louder or softer, or even in some areas it's inexistent, but that makes you just even feel like you're in a theme park even more, because that's how it would be in a theme park. It only would play where the loudspeakers are. And the music is fantastic. Granted, majority of the music is not Infinity Ward's music. A lot of it is obviously 80s songs, which I've been playing throughout this entire video. They are great songs though. I don't care if Infinity Ward didn't make it. I'm still giving them credit for choosing such amazing 80s songs to really get you in the 80s vibe. And of course, they also have the perk jingles, which also are pretty great themselves. There's just so many fantastic pieces of music on this map, including Freakazoid, Sunglasses at Night, Relax, I'd Like to Shoot You Down, Metro, and a ton of other classic 80s music. And all the music adds up to about 2.5 hours of music, which means you're not going to be hearing the same song over and over again. When you're playing the map, you're always hearing different songs, and you're like, oh, I haven't heard this one in a while. This one's great as well. This one, they give you these nostalgic feels, even if you weren't in the 80s. I wasn't even born in the 80s yet. I still feel nostalgic listening to these songs because of how classic they are. They really bring you back to the good old days, back whenever the hell you were younger, because you were still probably hearing this music even if you weren't born in the 80s, which adds so much replay value to this map experience. I can't get enough of it. You know, Treyarch Zombies, I love Kevin Sherwood's Easter egg songs, and they have some great soundtracks that play in the background, but it doesn't play constantly throughout the entire map. And let's say you really don't like it, you just get tired of the music, you can turn it off. There's always a feature to turn off the music. You can even go up to the DJ and change the song. If it's a song you don't like, you hold X on off, he'll change the song for you. How great is that? You can literally change the music on the map. This is a feature that when in a couple other Infinite Warfare maps, not all of them, it should be honestly in more maps in the future. I want to hear music while I'm playing. You know, obviously it costs them a lot of money because they got to get the rights to these songs by the owners, but it's worth it because it adds so much to the experience. Even though most of these songs I've heard before playing Spaceland, these songs are all now Spaceland songs to me. They aren't what I heard them from before. They're not even that anymore. If I hear them on the radio or in another movie or another show or just wherever, I'm going to think of Spaceland. And that's when you know the map is powerful, if it's able to do that. Also, it means you probably play the map a lot. But the songs allow it to be fun for high rounds and just messing around casually on the map. I don't have to be doing the Easter egg or doing the quests or whatever. I can literally play this map, hop in, and I will have a good time just because I know I get to listen to these great songs all the way through. It's so much more immersive because it's coming from the map. It's not your own music you're just putting on some random playlist. It's coming from the map itself, and it's from the era of the map that you're playing. It's a perfect way to add to the atmosphere that's already so great on this map. The map's atmosphere is fantastic. The entire locations all feel like the 80s, very retro themed. The character quotes really add to the 80s vibe. It feels like such a wonderful time. This is a fun map. It's not meant to be some depressing, you know, heartfelt experience like Mob of the Dead or Origins. It's just fun. Let's just kill some zombies while listening to some badass music, and that's what makes this map work so damn well as a zombies arcade mode. Unfortunately, Spaceland isn't going to be seen as great of a thing by the majority of the zombies community because not many people even played it. I mean, think about it. Infinite Warfare was one of the least selling Call of Duty games of all time, and everyone says the best part of it is Spaceland. Some people say the only good part of this entire game is Spaceland. But people aren't going to pay $60 for a game just for one single zombies experience. So this map doesn't get as much recognition as it deserves. It is recently, but previously it really didn't, and it didn't when it needed it most. So I don't expect zombies to go in this goofy route much more at all. I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of the zombies experiences are more serious and a little bit safer than what this one was. But I gotta say, in terms of innovation, this map was huge. It really took that goofy take to a whole nother level. I mean, we've had goofy zombies since Black Ops 1. It's never been serious. You know, you have ray guns, space monkeys, all this crazy stuff since Black Ops 1, and it's like, it's what it is, you know? It's already a goofy idea. Why not take it to the extreme, you know what I mean? I appreciate some serious zombie shows and movies and genres, but it's also fun to have something just insanely goofy like the movie Zombieland I keep mentioning because this map just reminds me so much of that movie, which was a fantastic movie, by the way. The map also added a lot of features in that we've never seen before, like, for example, the ticket system and the Ghosts and Skulls Easter egg quest. Infinite Warfare as a whole added in a lot, including some insane Easter egg rewards like Director's Cut, which Director's Cut makes this map even that much more enjoyable if you have it. Tons of awesome Fate and Fortune cards to make the game even more enjoyable as well. There's just so much to be said about Infinite Warfare Zombies, not just Spaceland, but the whole entire mode as a whole. So in conclusion, Zombies in Spaceland is a gosh darn masterpiece, man. It's gotta be one of my favorite zombies maps of all time, and it really goes to show how much crazy shit zombies should do and really could do in the future. I mean, people keep saying zombies is dead, it has to end soon, they can't keep making maps forever, but I completely disagree with that. There's still so much they can mess around with, and Zombies in Spaceland proved that, because this was a map like 30 to 5 maps into the season of maps we've had already, and we just get this absolutely insanely different experience from anything we've seen before. I think there's much more they can do, and hell, I would love an Infinite Warfare sequel in the future. Zombies, I'm not talking about the campaign, but it's not going to happen because unfortunately Lee Ross, you know, he left Activision and Call of Duty as a whole, and I really doubt they'd want to pick back up after the, you know, failure of the game itself. But I would love to see at least something similar to Spaceland come back, whether it be just another goofy map, or whether it be a map in a theme park, or something in the 80s, just anything that gives you the vibes that this map gives. I would love to see it from a developer for a Call of Duty Zombies game in the future, and it really needs to happen because this map is exactly what zombies should be, and that is fun. It doesn't have to be anything more than fun. It does not have to be a compelling hardcore story that makes me cry my eyes out. It just needs to be fun, and if it has a great story, that's wonderful, but I don't need that. And Zombies in Spaceland was not going for that. It was going for a fun map that's replayable again and again and again. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you thought of the video. If you want to see me do the same type of video but for other maps, I will gladly do it. Possibly even all the Infinity Ward maps from Infinite Warfare. Maybe, we'll see. I would love to talk about Raven the Redwoods, Challenge Shuffle, and a couple of those other maps, but there'd be more criticism thrown into those maps, because there's definitely more criticism than I could give for Spaceland, because honestly, the only piece of criticism I could think of for this map is that there's a couple missed opportunities, a couple places where they could have done more on the map, but in the map itself, there really isn't any negatives I can think of, at least. So, Zombies in Spaceland, incredible map. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on my next one. Peace out.